This episode of the ABIC podcast is brought to you by the Global Beauty Group. Hello and welcome to the ABIC podcast, your online support community for the aesthetic and beauty industry. Here, we're strengthening and unifying the industry through representation, innovation, and education. This is a platform created and dedicated to the aesthetic and beauty industry, valuing unity and advancement. We serve to represent, support, and inspire you by connecting you with industry experts, expanding your knowledge through educational pieces, and bringing you the latest industry news. This is the ABIC podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie Miller, and today's guest, Emily Turner, is not only an accredited dermal therapist and founder of Soul Skin and Laser, she is a rising force in the industry. Known for combining strategic innovation with soul-led service, in just a few short years, she has grown a business that doesn't just deliver skin results. It inspires loyalty, drives profit, and empowers the next generation of professionals. In this episode, Emily opens up about the pivotal decisions that fueled her growth, from selecting tech that actually converts to crafting a treatment menu that sells itself. She's now pulling back the curtain and sharing what really works. Not fluff, not theory, but actionable insights that you can use right now to elevate your own practice. If you're a clinic owner, aspiring entrepreneur, or just ready to turn your passion into something powerful, this conversation is your roadmap. Now let's dive in with the incredible Emily Turner. Welcome to the podcast, Emily. How are you today?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
Oh, I'm great. I'm actually really excited to talk to you. We're having a little bit of a chat before this podcast, so can't wait to get into it because you've got such an incredible story. And I think everybody listening is going to be really fascinated and really so inspired by your journey and what's actually possible in a short amount of time when you have the right mindset and you apply yourself. So please, Emily, tell us a little bit about your background and what inspired you to launch Soul Skin.
So thank you. Thank you for having me on. So a bit of my background, I come from education. So I used to be a high school teacher. I always wanted to do that when I was younger. I actually taught French. So I really loved that when I was in school, and I obviously went to uni, became a teacher. And then as time went on, I felt like I wanted to step into something more. I've always been really ambitious, always been a big thinker, big ideas. And I think it was in 2018 or 17, I started a makeup brand called Tiger and Talk. That was my first ever business baby, my business venture, which I did while teaching as well. So it was like a side hustle, but a big one. Went really well. Everything was great. That's where I kind of learned to love marketing, really did all my own socials, grew Tiger and Talk from nothing, did all my own e-commerce online and stuff like that. And then obviously COVID came along, which put a big hold on things, kind of had to stop sales and just focus on working, couldn't get things in from overseas. And then after my kind of makeup obsession, which was long term, and then I got obsessed with some skin things, and I was really interested in lasers and technology and how that worked on a cellular level with skin. That was just, research ideas, thinking, is this my next step? That went on for a couple of years, thinking that, I wanted to get into that industry, skin and laser specifically. Looked into what study I wanted to do. Then I had my daughter Ella, who is now 3.5.
Wow, so you were pregnant and had a baby in the middle of all of this.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Just
and then I knew,
fun,
Yeah, that's the undiagnosed ADHD coming through. On my mat leave, I did my study. So I studied with AACDS. I did my advanced diploma in cosmetic and dermal science, loved it, obsessed. It kept me going. And then that whole time I was studying, I had Soul Skin and Laser planned in my bank.
Oh, in your head, you're already planning,
yeah,
studying, and of course, looking after a newborn.
Yeah.
That's just what you do.
And I have memories of, 2 years before having my daughter, of drawing sketches of what a clinic could be set out like. Like, I've got these memories of going through it, writing treatment menus for 2 years in a brand new industry
When you're
for
speaking
me.
right now, I don't know if you know that you did it intentionally, but there's, this Harvard came out with an actual study that said how to achieve your goals, and visualization and sort of manifestation, if you will, was one of them. And it's so funny because the universities now backed this up, that yes, you can do this, and you need to get very specific on what
Yeah.
that goal is and visualize it. You actually visualize it to the point that you drew it.
Yeah. I was
Really?
drawing up clinics 2 years before I even studied. So funny.
Wow. Can I just rewind one little sec? How did you study with a newborn? I mean, you've got a newborn and then you're studying dermal therapy.
Yeah. So I basically would do a big chunk in her big day nap
Right.
and smash 2 hours out, stand up and resettle her and go back to where I was at. And then I would do in the nighttime if I had to. And if I kind of did that chunk every day and make sure I was really productive, I was getting through it okay. And it was kind of nice because it gave me that, after being in the newborn phase, and it just gave me something to focus on and have a sense of drive towards, when you're living Groundhog Day with a baby every day. So it kind of was nice to.
I have heard that before from some women. I always think, how do you do it? Because it's the chaos of having a newborn, and that, I suppose, limiting belief of, oh, you need to just do that one thing.
Yeah.
and focus on that. But a mother's mental health and well-being
Yeah.
also plays a part in it. And I suppose if you're stuck doing in that carer role
Yes.
day after day, it can be mentally taxing. So it's interesting.
Yeah.
To break.
Yeah. When my study was like a day break.
You know what absolutely killed me about your story is that when you did it, when you started Soul Skin, it's a year and a half. And I
Yeah.
don't think anyone listening, you need to look her up, because it's Soul Skin and Laser, and it's in Ulladulla. And in a year and a half, you've got over 2,000 followers. Your books are solid, and you're so busy. And every time I've spoken with you, it's been, oh my gosh, I've got another client. You're just so busy.
Yeah.
And you also got an ABIA nomination.
Yeah.
People have been trying to get a nomination for ABIA for years and years, and you nailed that within the
so
first
exciting.
year, because by the time that ABIA nomination was a little while ago. So now it's been a year and a half since.
Yeah.
And so within the first 6 months, what you're applying for an ABIA,
Yeah.
how did you get the courage to do that one?
I actually love doing like all different awards, especially ABIA, because you really have to go in and give data and evidence and really look at your business and go through the ins and outs of the question, the questions that they ask and all that kind of stuff. I loved it.
But what gave you the courage to say, well, I'm brand new, I'm 6 months old, I'm going to go win an ABIA here, like.
I don't know. I'm just the kind of person that's like, if you don't try, you'll never know. And if you don't ask, you'll never know. Ask and you shall receive. Literally put it out there. I was confident. I was watching the video when they were coming up with the finalists, and it got to the, it's alphabetical. And I was like, yep, I'm coming next. Came next. I was like, yep.
So you visualized the winning.
I was just manifesting my name on the screen because it was late at night and I was watching it on the Facebook stream.
Earlier you said something, you go like, oh, I've got a bit of imposter syndrome. I don't know, do you? Because to me, every time you speak, it's so much conviction comes through. Tell us about that, because I think we all suffer from that. I'm not impervious.
When I went to the ABS, I was like, oh, I'm a fraud. I'm going to get kicked out of here. I don't know. Sometimes I'm just like, oh, should I be doing that? Am I really, what people want me to be?
Right. And so you have those moments of thinking,
oh yeah,
am I? And then what kicks in after that? I want to know the secret of overcoming that one.
I just have hyperfixation. So if I'm obsessed with getting something done, like when the ABIA's nominations are out, like I've already done I can still do newcomer clinic again this year. So I'm going to try for that one again this year. And I just get hyperfixated on a task and just go hell for leather.
There's something to be said for focus, isn't there? And
yeah.
You got my undiagnosed ADHD,
yeah.
Which is, a funny throwaway comment, but you're meaning your extreme ability to focus. And I've been doing some research on focus lately, and I think that's one of the things, it's a precursor to success, because a lot of the time we're so distracted with all the things that come on our plate, because life is extremely challenging. And we lose that focus. And I think finishing a task and being dogged about it, there's something to be said for that lack of distraction. How do you focus so well in such a busy?
I get distracted. I do. I feel like sometimes my brain has 55 tabs open, and I struggle sometimes. I've got my list of things to do. I'm a big list person. Write the list out every single day.
That's another secret to success: lists.
Lists every single day. And even if I write down something that, this is a strange habit that I do, I'll write down something that I might have done yesterday so I can straight away cross something off. It makes me feel like I'm getting somewhere.
Yep.
Because some of those things on the list will stay for a few weeks, if it's a longer thing. But I write the list every single day and I copy down what I didn't do from the day before. But yeah, sometimes I'm working on so many things that I'm going across them too quickly, and I have to stop myself and say, no, look at the list, finish one of those tasks, then you can move on to these other things. So it's a struggle, but I'm trying.
You said you tick you rewrite the
last thing I did.
You said you rewrite from the day before, and then you cross it off. You know what you're doing is you're giving yourself a dopamine hit right there.
Yeah.
And it's
cheap dopamine, crossing off the list.
Cross it off.
Yeah.
I'm satisfied. I'm moving on to the next thing. That's really underrated. Actually simply putting a tick next to something fills your brain with a sense of achievement, and then you feel worthy, and then you want to move on to the next task. So guys, if that's a trick out there, if you're listening and you're ever stuck, put something on the list that you've already done, or that's easy to do.
You can quickly do,
and you can do quickly, and then you tick it and you're like, right, I've got momentum now. Because
I even use a different colored pen to do my cross and tick, so I can really see what I've done.
You're old school. Write it down.
I write it down. If I'm laying in bed at night and I have to dump some thoughts, I'll do a notes of for the next day to add to my written list. I have to write
it. Have you studied mindset? Are you doing these things on purpose, or is it something that you're doing?
No. I mean, I see things online, but no formal study.
Because then writing things down with your hand also has, I'm very interested in the scientific reasons why certain things work, and writing things down with your hand is a mind-body connection when you're writing it. And it's actually more, when you write notes with your hand, you're actually tapping into a different part of your brain than when you type it onto your notes.
Absolutely. If I had to write an essay, so I did French language and English literatures, so I did a lot of essays, I would handwrite the entire essay first and then go and type it back after I might even rewrite it again. I don't know why. Everything had to be handwritten. I still do it all the time.
Did you, when you were planning Soul Skin and visualizing your success, did you write those things down too?
I wrote everything down. So from the pages in my website, I drafted all of them handwritten. My treatment menu, I drafted it, all my pricing, everything. I wrote everything first because I feel like that's easier to edit in my brain, and that's how I dump thoughts, is writing them. So I go through a lot of random books that I just fill up with random notes and crap, chuck the book out, burn it, start again.
People are sitting here thinking, oh, this is an interesting podcast. Literally, she's just given us 5 pieces of gold advice that if we were to go away and do all of those today, you would actually see a difference in your life.
If I'm at home and I know I've got certain tasks to do, I write it down, down to do the dishes, vacuum. Just helps me organize my life. And then on a Sunday, I sit with my diary, and I have a diary for the clinic, and then I have a diary for my life. And obviously having a 3-year-old, then we've got swimming lessons, dancing, all the stuff. And I put everything, and I use different colored pens and highlight it, make it fun, romanticize your writing.
I love that so much. This is, again, another principle. You plan your week in advance. On the Sunday, people, very successful life coaches out there will say on a Sunday, spend some time, an hour or so, could even be a little bit more, and plan your week, and you'll actually save hours during the week.
Totally.
You might spend an hour or two, but the time that you save throughout the week is, tenfold. And then you'll actually get a productive week. You'll move the needle. And that's what I'm hearing right now. So when talking to you, you're moving the needle. Everything you're doing is moving you forward. Which is incredible. Again, 20, a year and a half. Now I want to know the nitty gritty of how you did this, because in a year and a half, your business is set up, ABN nominations, you're so packed you can't fit anybody else in, and you've been asked to do a podcast by one of the leading suppliers in the industry, Global Beauty Group, have actually reached out to you and said, we are so impressed with your growth.
Yeah.
They have thousands of clinics that they can ask, right, to do a podcast. They ask you and to, teach us your secret of your success. Tell us the nitty gritty. Why is the mechanics of your clinic so successful?
I think it's a few different things. For me, the key is my relationships with my clients, the client experience from start to end. So I really focused on like consistent branding from every touch point. Start the first experience you have with the clinic, whether it's going to be Instagram, Facebook, seeing the website, everything's consistent, everything's cohesive till you walk in the door. Everything's the same. You're getting the same tone of voice from me, all of those branding, the colors, all of those things. I think that's something that helps my client retention. Client retention is something I'm so proud of, and my rebooking and all of that kind of stuff. So that's all part of the client experience. And I think, it comes down to relationships and trust. And I'm really heavily results driven. And I like to, stick to my word. I don't make promises that I can't keep. I feel that I work within my scope of practice and I'm really results driven. And I think that that's helped if we're talking about, retaining clients and building up from nothing. I think it's relationships and results.
So you open the doors, and did you already have clients waiting to actually have treatments?
Yeah, I had my first day fully booked. It was a Saturday. I remember so clear. I don't know how. Sometimes I don't know. I went through a few weeks before I opened. I was like, oh my God. So I opened up the booking software, spent so long obsessing over that as well. Opened that up. I built a social media that really helped me start. I built a social media for a few months leading up, just educating the local community on what a dermal therapist does, what are advanced skin treatments, what results can you achieve, what skin conditions can I work with, just lots of education, building up the base of followers and local clientele kind of thing. So then when I did open up my bookings, I had people kind of waiting in the wings to want to come and give these things a try, which was really exciting. And I did have a thought, what if no one comes? And then slowly people were booking in, and then my first day was fully booked out. So I had that sense of confidence, and it wasn't always booked like this, obviously at the start, especially that first 12 months, there's some days where you might have some gaps and things like that, but it's all just part of the process.
Yeah, of course. I love the fact that you did a very big, long stretch of pre-launch campaign before you opened your doors. That is extremely smart.
Yeah.
I know clinics and businesses that have done this pre-launch. I know I did a pre-launch before I launched a couple of my businesses, and even AVIC as well. We did a massive pre-launch campaign, and the day that you launch is a different outcome than if you had just launched.
Absolutely.
Launch, yeah.
Oh yeah. It would have just been raw dogging life if I went out there with no pre-information. I did a really long time. I actually thought when I started the Instagram, I was like, oh, is this too soon? I was like, no, I've really got to build that knowledge. And I knew what technology I was going with. I'd already been in long talks with Global Beauty Group. I knew what I was working towards, what treatments I could do. So I could start promoting that ahead of even having it here, even having my devices in the room. So I think the planning, was really the key of having people ready.
And you're a dermal therapist. And you thought to yourself, I'm going to choose a treatment menu. How do you select? There's so many treatments out there, Emily.
Yeah.
You're starting a new business and you're like, what do I bring in? What technology? What's trending? What do my clients want to actually experience? How did you tap into that?
I think loads of research, loads of looking around at what was available, what was out there, talking to providers, tech providers, Global Beauty Group. I'd also researched for months and months and looked at lots of technology. I think doing my study as well, I knew what was in my scope of practice. I knew what skin conditions were common and what was the best treatment to address that within my scope. And that sort of came from my study, which is why I'm such a big advocate for quality study. And then, I went from there, and I was focusing on skin health and long-term skin health. So that helped drive what I chose, really.
And your treatment menu, is it designed? You were talking about client retention, and obviously that's a big part of your business. I mean, when you start a business, you're always thinking about client acquisition. How do I get new clients? How do I get people through my door? And
Yeah.
the retention strategy is kind of like an afterthought. Tell us a little bit about your philosophy on there. Which is better, the chicken before the egg, let's get clients in, or is it, were you strong retention right from the beginning?
At the start, I was definitely more focused on must get new clients, must get new clients, must keep advertising for new people, must market for this purpose. But I think as time went on, learning as well, and then building up in the clinic, I'm way more focused now on retention. I have a membership program. So I do 6 and 12-month skin memberships. They're all customized exactly to what the treatment plan is. And that's been the biggest hit. I have so many people on treatment plans. Majority of my week this week is my members. They feel a part of my community here. I think that's a huge thing, is building a community. So for example, just something I think that shows the community that I've built. Last year on our birthday, we had a big dinner. We all went out to a beautiful restaurant, had a celebratory dinner. Majority of those people were my beautiful clients coming to celebrate, do something nice together. They're always supporting me. Yeah, I feel like we build a really good trusting bond. And a lot of them, are my members.
Right.
So they come every 4 weeks. We have a full treatment plan. It's got the little perks, that they might have an LED after their sessions, things like that. They get a discount off their retail. But yeah, that's been hugely successful in retaining clients. Plus they're seeing a better result. You map out a treatment plan properly, you do a consultation well, and you can really show your client what they're going to see in the end, which does require commitment. And that's something I also market. You need consistency, you need commitment. That leads to treatment plans, which leads to long-term retention.
What do you mean by you market that? Do you actually put that in your advertising?
Yeah. I put things out there that remind people that your skin goals require commitment and they require consistency, and that one treatment isn't a treatment plan.
Since 2010, the Global Beauty Group has supported over 5,000 beauty businesses in Australia, New Zealand, and beyond with award-winning Medi-aesthetic technology. Their mission is simple: to make people feel wonderful by putting the client experience first. Offering over 20 cutting-edge technologies like the Medilux LED and the Ultralux Pro, they empower clinics to deliver outstanding results. With 7-day support, marketing resources, and award-winning training through their education hub, the Global Beauty Group is committed to the success of their clients. Discover more at www.theglobalbeautygroup.com.au or call 03 8555 2246 and book your complimentary demo today.
I love that. That's actually out there in your marketing. That's a novel approach. I haven't really seen treatments equals consistent results.
And I think that's being real, telling people that they're going to achieve this fantastic result with just this one treatment. If that's not the case, that might be the case with some treatments. It might be something that's about the instant glow. It's a pre-event or something, but you need to be real with people. You need to be honest, but it does lead to what we want, which is retention and relationships and trust.
Tell me about your treatment menu. What services do you actually offer?
So I do IPL, I do hair removal, a little bit of hair removal. I do pigmentation reduction, vascular therapy, acne reduction, all with my IPL device, which is the Superlux from Global Beauty Group. That same device has radio frequency skin tightening, hugely popular. It's non-invasive, super comfortable, really nice tightening.
They're a good result. I'm always looking for a great tightening treatment.
Oh, I love it. I think it's about that skin laxity. It's not really like a fat reduction or anything like that, but really nice tightness. I try to do a lot of the chin.
I've got the pre-gel area. I
always joke about like burning just constantly doing my skin. My clients come and get RF and I'm so free. I just will say things. People seem to like it, but I sometimes just say things and I'm like, yep, tight and bright, let's go.
That sounds like an ad just there, tight and
literally. Tight for life. Yeah, so
I love it. So you've got this one system and it's a multimodal system.
Yeah.
And it sounds like it's got different hand pieces, obviously.
Yeah.
You
So
saw
it has
around.
2 IPL hand pieces. One is the super hair removal, which is the moving device, which is revolutionary for hair reduction. So fast, so comfortable. And then the other IPL, where I change the wavelengths with the filters. So that covers 5 different treatments just in that one handpiece. Then the radio frequency wand. And then I also have a Q switch laser, which does tattoo removal. And then it has a different tip for carbon facials.
Oh, that's awesome.
And that's all in that one device, which is so great.
I love that. But, I always wonder that having one device, if that one device goes down, what happens? Because, I've got many devices.
Yeah. Well, look, I'm lucky that, touch wood, we haven't had many issues, but
Wow.
Global Beauty Group are really responsive and really quick, and they will send people out. My actual Hydrolux, before, I've had to call and they'll talk me through and I can troubleshoot myself.
Right.
Yeah, so they're helpful like that, and their support's really good. Like, they can send an engineer even to have a look. So
What's the one thing you always struggle with as a salon and clinic owner is, is this company going to actually service and fix my device when it goes
help
down?
me
And I
out.
have panics about,
Yeah.
rebooking and, a fully booked day, and you one of your lasers
I
goes,
know.
like, oh my goodness, what
Yeah.
do I do now? But it's really great that you've had that experience. It's
Yeah.
good to
Even
hear.
on the portal, they have a education portal, and then there's tech videos inside the portal. So you can go and see, so say your hydro has low flow or something, you can click the video, it will troubleshoot you through. Majority of the time that will work. Obviously, bigger issues, you can call for help, and they're quite responsive.
And I suppose having that one device is going to influence your profitability. When you sat down and imagined this is the clinic that I want, you wrote it down, you looked at it, but then did you actually plan out, is this clinic going to be profitable? Because I know that a lot of people just wing and a prayer it,
Yeah, that's one thing that I am working towards this year, is being across the numbers better. Pricing, I feel like I did a good job with the pricing, but I also feel like I could be better at that as well. Numbers, I'm certainly not an accountant. I also have a professional accountant, but Global Beauty Group did help me with the pricing. They provide really good pricing guides. And now I know how to sit down and work out my break even, the break even figure that includes my time, my qualifications, the consumables, the tech. So I know how to do that now. So I have all the tools. At the start, I certainly didn't. I was winging it, but I knew
Global
that.
Beauty Group, you said, helped you with that?
Yeah, they've got really good price
really
guides. Yeah, they have
good advice from suppliers. I mean, I don't
yeah.
think I've had that type of service, but that's
Yeah.
wonderful.
They even have tiers. So say you were doing a lower range pricing scale, middle, and then a high, and they give you package ideas. So people that wouldn't be people coming from no idea with marketing and how you might create packages, they give you samples and templates of packages, which is very cool.
That is very cool. I haven't really come across many suppliers that go to that level of detail, and of course, they also have all the training, and I hear their training is incredible.
The training is really, really great.
Tell us a little bit about why you think training is so important. Obviously, you talked about qualifications. You've got your qualifications. Why upskill? Why keep training?
Oh, we must be forever. I'm obviously an education advocate, but we must be forever learning. Things changing all the time, and we need to keep our minds going and our education fresh, our knowledge fresh. New things come up all the time. I read a lot of clinical studies, and new studies come out, new research. So we need to be on the button. Things are always changing. Especially if you're going to if you're going into a new treatment, especially that you've never had any experience with, to be across that very well is super important.
What do you do? Where do you get your information from? You said clinical studies, but do you actually enroll in micro skills, or do you go and do training with suppliers? I know that's a big thing.
Yeah, so I do all my training with suppliers. I keep up to date with anything new. I've done all the training for every modality that I have. I do regular skin training with the skincare companies, the brand that I carry. So I do training with them, and they're really great. They hold a lot of online workshops quite regularly as well, just to keep people on the pulse. I actually do some study with my marketing too.
Do you?
Because I like to keep up to date with my marketing as well, because that's something I love and I don't want to delegate, because I like that. And then I find a lot of webinars around the place. There's lots of good resources at the expo. I like to go to the expo and do the education pass and listen to the speakers, and I'd like to think one day maybe that will be me. Yeah. So I like to go and watch and visualize myself doing those things, and so much information to learn and amazing people in our industry to speak to, like talking to you today. It's just so great. And I'm getting to know lots of new people and make different connections, and I just love it.
I love the fact that you rely on your network. So
Yeah.
you've got your suppliers, the people around you, and then you focus so much internally on your business as well. You're not sort of distracted by different side projects, and you've made that business that you have kind of like your baby, and you're putting all of
Yeah.
your energy into there. So much so that you're even keeping up with your marketing. How important is learning about marketing and actually doing, having a hand, if you're not doing it yourself, but having a really strong hand in the marketing?
Yeah.
And also give us some secrets. What do you do to stay successful?
I think that even if you are delegating that off, you need to have a really clear marketing plan, because if you're not inside of your business and inside of your plan, someone else isn't going to be able to reflect that well for you. My secrets, I don't know. I think that Canva is my best friend. Canva is life. I love graphic designing. I consume a lot of social media in our industry, and I spend time doing that. I save things. I think what is relevant for my clientele, what could I be teaching them? I do a balance. So I always do some educational posts. I do behind the scenes in the clinic, as much as I didn't want to do that from the start, because I don't like, even being on the screen with you today freaks me out. I'm getting better. I didn't want to, do myself, but people love that. People want to relate to you. And so, yeah, behind the scenes, what goes on in the day, people like to see. I do like a step-by-step reel of what the treatment includes, because that also is educating your clients. It's good entertainment. People like to see it. But also what's going to happen in a skin needling treatment. So it shows them, step by step. What else? I do education, behind the scenes. I like to do fun things as well, because obviously social media is meant to be fun and engaging. So I'll do little aesthetics quotes or things like that. And I just mix it up like that and keep it visually appealing, interesting, educational, and authentic.
Oh, I like that. Authentic.
Yeah.
I think we miss that part because we're always trying to, gain attention and,
Yeah.
get the eyes on, or get the, we want this post to go viral. So then we lose that authenticity and start to be a little bit sensational, or, just talking about what's on trend. How important is authenticity? Do you think you can feel it across?
Oh, 100%. And especially when, I'm solo therapist at the moment. I do have staff members starting soon, but people will be dealing with me, and authenticity leads to trust, and trust is so important. People are trusting us with their skin, and people only want to go and see somebody that they trust and can relate to and speak to, and being authentic, I think, leads to that.
How do you put yourself out there and not have that imposter syndrome when you're, being that authentic self? How do you overcome that?
I don't know. I'm still working. I'm still working on that so much. I'm fine with putting myself out there, but I'm really working on that, because I obviously want to get into connecting with more people beyond the clinic as well. And obviously, coming from education, I love the concept of doing education around our industry as well. I started a group called the Inspired Women, which is just a local Shellhaven group of women in business. And I do a yearly luncheon at a beautiful restaurant. It's called Bannister's Pavilion. And I spoke at that last year, and that was my big, I'm here. I was actually so comfortable. I didn't have the nerves. So I think I'm just breaking through the barrier. I'm trusting myself more. I'm trusting more in my qualifications and believing in myself more, rather than thinking I don't belong here. I'm now saying, no, I do. And I'm here, and it's me.
Have you had adversity? Have you had people come up against you? Have you had, we always hear this industry is interesting. They love you with open arms, but then there can be a little bit of tall poppy, I suppose.
Oh, totally. I live in a small town. I am lucky that industry here, we have lots of beautiful businesses that are doing, beauty, skin, whatever it may be. And they're all beautiful. And so many of them are such my good friends. But there's always, a little bit of, what are you doing? Aren't you a teacher? Why are you doing that now? Why would you do that? Why would you just change what you're doing when you're 30? Really? So a little bit of that. And then that probably made me feel like, maybe because, something I do get imposter syndrome about is that I haven't been here long. I haven't been in the industry long, but I don't think that the years you've been in the industry is reflective of your ability and your skill and your qualifications. So I believe in that more now, but that's been a fear as well.
Not at all. And you know what? In terms of experiences, obviously can't be underestimated, and years in doing something is to be respected, right?
Absolutely,
There
yeah.
is something to be said for fresh eyes,
Longevity.
innovation, something to be said as well for the internal drive that someone has to succeed and overcome those limiting beliefs that we put in ourselves about ourselves and what we can achieve. And I think everyone listening to this right now, I mean, we all, if we deep down, dig in there, you'll see that there are roadblocks stopping you from getting what you want because you
Yeah,
think you don't deserve it. You think, okay, I'm
yeah,
not there yet, I haven't earned it yet, or
yeah,
it's not time yet, or why would I be successful when someone that's been doing it for 10 years or 20 years is not as successful? Why do I
yeah.
deserve that? How do you overcome that feeling, that internal feeling?
I think I prove it to myself every day when I get up and come in every single day and do my job and reach new goals and achieve new things. I'm just proving that to myself. I think I'm 33 now, and I've got a lot of friends that have been doing something for a really long time and actually hate what they're doing. And I always say to them, change. Just because you're this age, you don't need to keep doing that. Change. I went off and started a whole new industry and a whole new career at 31. There's no holding you back. It's all you. If you want to do something, you can quite literally do anything that you want to in your life if you go and try. That's what's holding people back.
What about failure? Are you scared of failure?
Oh yeah, for sure, all the time. If I see something online that makes me think like next year I'm going to have no clients, I don't know, just crazy thoughts, I'll be like, oh, that could be me. But what can you do? You just keep going every single day. You can't live in fear. That could happen. Anything could happen.
I love your attitude. I think, there's something to be learnt by just pushing past. Well, what's your biggest challenge so far? Tell us, a curveball and how you then got over that challenge.
My biggest general challenge, not one specific curveball, is probably managing my life with, I've got a young family, but a 3.5-year-old, which needs a lot of my attention and time. And I need to balance because I get a lot of guilt then, bit of the mum guilt vibes. Am I not focusing enough at home as I am at work? That's my biggest challenge. I'm just setting boundaries is how I'm overcoming that, saying no a bit more. I've got to respect my time. So that's helping with that. Big specific challenges, I think, was being the opening period. That was that whole attracting new people, filling up the books, and that was just a time thing. That was just working through time. I really worked on my consultation experience. I learned a lot from different clinics, a lot of clinics that I follow, doing some marketing webinars and just looking at that experience and the consultation. I really feel I've worked really hard on that, taken inspiration from different people and places to just nail that down. And that has helped, yeah, with everything really, growing that retention, my membership program. So just opening and finding all these people and then convincing them to stay. Stay, please.
That's the piece, I suppose. And clinic, salon, spa owners that are listening right now that they either want to open up their own business, like professionals wanting to open up their own business, but
Yeah.
also businesses out there. They want to scale and expand successfully. What's your piece
Yes.
of advice?
So I think that scaling and expanding is super exciting, but you need to do that right and do that at the right time. Knowing when to do that is really tough. Is it that your books are full? So it's time to expand staff wise. Is it that you want to you're seeing people with concerns that you can't address? Are you wanting to introduce a new treatment? So just making sure that the precursor is there to the reason why you're scaling, I think is really important. Working with professionals. So whether you have like a mentor or even a colleague that you can discuss these things with, especially if you're a sole operator like me, like I get these brand ideas. Yeah, asking the right people around you. I also there's some good Facebook groups of beauty business stuff out there that you can join, and that's always good to ask questions and ask people, get advice from different. I also ask other girls in the industry in my town as well. They'll come to me for advice. I'll go to them for advice.
I like
so just
that.
having
Build your community.
Oh, totally. And just asking the right people. I am bringing on my first ever staff member. So she's starting very soon. Thank you. I've been training her, which has been so exciting. She's like, you're really good at training. I'm like, yeah, because I was a teacher. This is my jam. So just making sure that, your growth aligns with your strategy and that it ticks the boxes as to why. I've almost brought in treatments and almost purchased devices and then really, really gone through that and gone, actually, no, it's not time for that. I'm then scaling beyond the means of business. So just making sure it's the right time.
Yeah, that's
I
really
think would be my best advice. Right time, and seeking your community. Ask your community, ask your people.
Well, wonderful. People listening right now might not know, but we also, ABIC has the Facebook community. So it's the ABIC community Facebook page. And we're going to be doing some different things with that this year as well. So stay tuned for some exciting new additions and new things in that group that I think is going to even fulfill the sense of community a bit more, but have a place where we can go to and interact and exchange as well. So
I love that.
So you have been around in Soul Skin for 1.5 years, achieved all this incredible success very, very quickly. What's on the horizon for Soul Skin and yourself? What's your next goal?
I'm definitely going to do my ABIA nomination again.
Okay, fingers crossed on that one.
Fingers crossed for that, everybody. That's really exciting. So hopefully head there again this year would be so fun. I have my new staff member starting. I have a few new treatments in the works and just advancements to things that we already offer. So that's 2025. And my 5-year plan, thinking really far ahead, would be to move to a bigger space. And I want to have a bit of a collective space. So possibly rent out a few rooms to some other professionals that tie in really well with what we do. So whether that be like a naturopath or, an injector or whatever it may be. So I'd love to have a bit of a soul collective, a bit of a bigger group.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. So that would be my long-term plan. But this year we're focusing on, just growing the team and nailing down our current protocols, just getting everything super smooth, which I feel like the year started really well with that. Bringing someone in made me refine everything perfectly, all the protocols and how the clinic runs to try and make a miniature me to do that as well.
Oh, nice. If I could have one ability, it would be the cloning ability.
Yeah, right? Totally.
Thank you so much, Emily.
No, thank you.
Coming and sharing all of your secrets with us and also just that attitude of possibility. I feel like everything that you have set your mind to, you've achieved, and it's so inspiring to see someone, relatively young, you're 33 and you've just swapped from one career to another and just absolutely killing it and being, in that state of perseverance, which is very inspiring. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for supporting the industry, and thank you Global Beauty Group as well for being an ABIC member in yourself. I think it's so important to be part of this incredible advocacy that we have and community that we have here at ABIC, and just to support each other with knowledge and education. I mean, you've given your time today, to help inspire others. So that's really commendable.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for listening.
You've reached the end of another episode of the ABIC podcast, your online support community for the aesthetic and beauty industry. Thank you for listening, and until next time, stay connected.